Welcome to Perspectives, Unwrapping Transformation. Today, I get to host my buddy Robb, who I've known for over 40 years. In this first of two-part episodes, Robb is going to walk us through what it was like at his lowest point in his life. Robb's gone through peaks and valleys. He's had some serious successes, but he's also had some incredible falls. I mean, deep, low falls. And today, he's going to walk us through what one of those falls was like and the epiphany he had that would convert into his purpose in life. And what an amazing purpose he has. And so I want you to tune in, listen, enjoy, and hopefully you find some inspiration in Robb's story. 38 years. So we met when we were 14.
Yeah.
So I'm going to post the picture I have of you and I where it's at Rampart High School in Colorado Springs.
Yep.
And then the picture we took together in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Back in it was like 3 years ago, or a little bit longer, like 3 years ago.
Yep.
But we went to Puerto Rico for a reason, and we stay in touch for a reason. And you're good. You're good at reaching out. When I have issues going on, man, I close up like a clam. But you called me one day, or you texted me, and I'll never forget whether it was a text or the call. But your words were, "Did you hear what happened to Clemens?"
Yeah.
And I immediately knew something really bad happened for you to reach out to me and tell me that. And Clemens was our third buddy in high school. So it was like you.
I played football with him.
You played football with Jason. It was the three of us. And but we kind of all lived in our own world too, right? We were friends, and we were, we had real private conversations about stuff and just, kid, high school, boy stuff. But then we kind of all had our own groups that we hung out with. But some weird thing, we always kind of brought it back to us, right?
Yeah.
And we just remained in contact and, through the years.
Anytime he'd come to Scottsdale, Arizona, we'd always hang out or, grab some dinner and just catch up on life,
Yeah.
because he was here often in Arizona. So.
Right. So you called me and said, "Did you hear what happened to Clemens?" And I think we ended up talking, and you said, "Hey, cops went by and did a wellness visit, and found him dead on his couch in Miami." And he was in his he was like 50 years old, or early 50s.
Yeah, 52, I think.
52. It makes you wonder and think, because I know he had gone blind in one eye for an extended period of time. And one of the last times I talked to him, he said that he might be going blind in the other eye, and if he did, then at that point he would be fully disabled. But he told me this right before he left to go start working again after COVID in Miami, and he was driving from Arizona, I think, to Miami. So I'm bringing that up because he passed at 52. You and I are in our mid 50s now, right? It's been a few years now, and we're probably closer to the end than we are to the beginning now, right? And unfortunately, right? We're older, more experienced. We've been through a lot, and which is what I want to talk about today, is really your story. But it can all go away that fast. And it's a true reality check, right?
And that's why it was important for me to reach out and say, bro, let's meet often, at least once a year, as friends, to continue our friendship and value life and share stories and our challenges, obstacles, and our highlights, right? Our gifts, our rewards. And that's when you and I decided, after Clemens died, to meet up in Puerto Rico and kind of say farewell to him, but also renew our relationship as friends too, so that was important to me. And I think you valued the same.
Yeah.
I do. We still need to get our trip in, bro.
I know. Look, I think we talked about Machu Picchu like 3 years ago. But let's figure it out here after this call. Look, Robb, our lives have transformed dramatically, right? We have our peaks and our valleys, and you've had some serious valleys while I had my peaks, and I just been going through my valleys, and you've been kind of working.
I'm starting to peak,
You're starting to peak, right? It's interesting. We've kind of both gone like this, and and so I want to talk to you about that, right? And a lot of times it's easy. At least, unfortunately for me, it's been always an excuse of, well, I've got to work, or things are not, it's not the right time. I can't make that trip. I can't do that. And I remember the Puerto Rico trip constantly giving you excuses. And then we ended up going and just had a really good, nice, wholesome time. Like it wasn't a party thing. It wasn't anything. We just caught up on life and drove around the island a little bit.
Mhm.
And it was really nice. We're older and we talked about our war stories in life. Um, and so that's kind of how you and I reconnected
Yeah.
after however many years. I think like 12, 13 years ago, we
Well,
we
yeah, I
re
reconnected
we
with
reconnected, and it
2011.
was what's that?
Yeah, in 2011 we reconnected after 20 something years.
It was 2011, and it was a few years after the housing crash, which
Hmm.
affected you pretty bad. So first of all, like let me go back. Like what was your growing up like? I met you in high school. I remember you were a Mitchell High School kid,
Yep.
one of the tough kids, and
Fighter.
you came fighter, Mitchell High School. Those kids were fighters. They were
Yeah.
inner city, hardcore. And you came to Rampart High School,
Yep.
really with like a lot of edge. That's what I remember.
Mhm.
Everyone thought you looked like Bon Jovi. Now you look like Kid Rock. And you always, too bad you can't sing because you would play the perfect cover, the part in any cover band if
I
you.
play banjo at a karaoke bar. I'm just teasing, dude.
um, but so what was life like? I met
Yeah,
you
so
growing up.
so yeah, so we met in high school, 10th grade, and we remained friends through senior year. And prior to that, my parents divorced when I was a kid, so I came from a broken family. Two sisters, one from my dad, and my mom remarried and had another child. And so life was challenging in the 70s. As you know, we're the same age. And At that point, my dad wanted to take me to Los Angeles and keep my mom behind with my sister and to separate that, right? So I was 5 years old, moved to LA, was there for 3 years, I believe. And then my dad moved to Colorado Springs. And then later, 2 years later, that's actually 3 years later, built a house in Black Forest, which is North Springs. That put me right into the high school we went to. So yeah, growing up was difficult. It was my dad and I. My dad worked 12, 8 to 12 hours a day, and I never saw him. And I was a latchkey kid. I grew up alone. I grew up by myself. I was a survivalist. So I had to figure out how to make a dinner when I got home because I wouldn't see my dad until 7, 8 o'clock. Now, as a bachelor, having multiple relationships was kind of interwoven into my life, unfortunately. And so I saw a lot of women come in and out of my dad's life. Kind of looks at my life the same now, but yeah, it was really difficult. I would see my mom in all the summers. I'd see my mom on major holidays. My dad would fly me back and allow me to continue that relationship. And I miss my mom. I love my mom. And we really didn't have a fruitful relationship until later in life, where we had some really deep questions, right, about life and the way I was treated. And I just felt unloved. And she broke down crying and asked for me to forgive her. And she always wanted to be my mom and be a part of my life. And she was on the side, but not fully engaged. And it wasn't really until I was struggling after a second marriage that my mom and I bonded like none else. Like we were pretty close. We'd communicate daily, if not weekly. We spent all the holidays together. Just it was nice to reconnect with my mom. So we had that rite of passage, right? Where I just needed some questions answered and I got what I was looking for. So I was able to forgive my mom and have a great relationship at her end of life, which was 8 years ago. And
So
so
what did you have to forgive your mom about? What happened
um
that required forgiveness?
yeah, she just pushed me aside with her new family, and I didn't get the attention I was looking for. So not only growing up as a kid, as a baby, my mom pushed me aside too. And so I felt really screwed up. I don't know if I can swear on a podcast, but
You
I was
can.
pretty I was pretty fucked up. And so I think I got involved with sports to defer that anger. And when I did, I relished in wrestling, I relished in football, individual sports like cross country, and I
I
varsitied. It
remember.
wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't hard for me to varsity. It was an easy easy obstacle for me to overcome all that. So, um, got in a massive fight in 10th grade. That Chad Brockway guy lit him up like a Roman candle, bro.
I will never forget that fight. It
Nobody,
was
nobody ever messed with me in high school. That's for sure. Me and Todd
um,
Lopez.
you and Todd Lopez. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was well, I mean, you, Todd, Colin Holmes. I mean, those were all the names in high school that were just guys that nobody would mess with. And
Yeah.
I remember that's like, oh my God, the Mitchell kid's gonna fight the
That tall basketball kid.
yeah. So you know,
It was
so
tough, man.
then what happened? So then we all graduate. So I left. Unfortunately, my dad was in the military, and I went to school eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, and it sucked because I had to move away and graduate in Montgomery, Alabama at Jefferson Davis High School my
Yeah.
senior year, where I didn't know
Yeah.
anybody, and I had to leave all of you, all my
Yeah.
good friends. And
Yeah.
but so you graduate in 88, and then
Yeah.
what happens? You go off and do what?
So I went and served a Mormon mission. Was in Venezuela, actually, where the conflict is today. And I was in Venezuela, South America, for 2 years, learning Spanish and teaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that kind of gave me some structure, kind of gave me some grounding. Like, why are we here? What's our plan on life? And um, you know, how can we be more serviceful in helping other people? And so I really learned empathy, and I loved empathy. And I noticed for the kind of the first time that, hey, listen, there's other people in different foreign nations that are struggling worse than me. And I couldn't believe it. It was such a culture shock. um I wasn't really ready for it. And for a young kid in his teenage years with turmoil and struggle himself to get through high school and then finally go into a foreign nation that's just absolutely back asswards. People struggling and crying and living in tin roofs homes with dirt and hauled water and no septic. I was just like floored. And so I really appreciated life back in America when I finally got home. Quickly got married, went to college, wrestled up there, and then transferred all my hours to University of Colorado, and got pretty close to getting my bachelor's. Never finished it as I was going through school. Married with 2 kids. I had struggled with that. Really operating a mom and pop shop painting company. So I would paint interior, exterior homes. My dad would feed me a lot of business, and I struggled with that in the relationship as well. So over time, I was falling out of love. I was getting educated and working my butt off, and I just felt I wasn't getting the support from my partner. So we ended up divorcing and with 2 kids, and I moved to Arizona, and the struggle continued after divorce. It didn't get any easier. It got better, I guess, financially because um, I was an independent person that had goals and I knew how to achieve them. And so I succeeded in mortgages for a while. But in '07, boy, when that collapse hit, it flatlined me, and I lost everything. I mean, literally everything,
So
except for my personal stuff I
just to
grew up.
just to backtrack, during that time, so when you went from you got divorced, you then went to Arizona, continued doing the work you were doing, but then started educating yourself on mortgages because at that
Mm-hmm.
time they were developing these new mortgage instruments that get allow almost anybody to own a home.
Get a house,
And
yeah.
yep,
This
so
was ahead of the fall, yeah.
ahead of the fall, so you're
So I'm doing good
doing
financially.
good. Yeah, a
Just
lot of mortgage guys were
crushing
doing
loans.
yeah, it was outrageous.
Yeah. But again, with all that, I was paying a high amount of child support. So keep that in mind in this podcast. I was paying over 3,500 a month for 4 kids. Because when I moved to Arizona, the gal I moved here with, we ended up having 2 kids out of marriage. And so I'm very close to those kids today. We do a lot of that'll come. We're really connected and stay close.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I was doing well. The collapse hit and flatlined me and lost everything.
Mm.
Uh, uh, even in so much where I was driving an Escalade and a Corvette, had lost and sold all that. One to the bank and one I had to sell to pay off debt from the second marriage I was in. And then I was driving around for a couple of years in a 1998 Chevy Cavalier, which was like some shoebox death sentence, right? But I didn't have a choice, man. I had zero money. And my dad even helped me finance the car and just pay cash for it just to help his son out, right? That lost everything. Where I was flying high on a platinum American Express card, driving a brand new Escalade, all pimped out. I had a ragtop C5 LS2 Corvette. Um, it was amazing the life I had, but then it all came to a halt, dude, when that subprime liquidity crisis hit and the mortgage industry collapsed into a black hole.
Right.
I fell in that hole too, and I couldn't get out for a long time, you know?
So then, so then that's '08 is when the collapse happens. What then, like, how do you, so now you've gone now from, a divorce, a kid coming from divorce family, your mom abandons you. Uh, at this time, you didn't mention this, but your dad drinks a lot,
Oh yeah, he
right?
he he was a functional alcoholic, yeah, his whole life.
So you were, and I remember you weren't a kid that drank in high school. That wasn't you. You
No,
played sports and,
I
you
was too
were,
much into sports, man. Yeah.
right. So you're going through that. So family issues, then, you get into you get married, you've got a small business, then you get divorced, then you then
Started
start
drinking
like,
myself.
what's that?
Yeah, I started drinking at that point myself,
Okay.
you
So
know.
then you start the mortgage business, you're in a second relationship, two kids, that whole thing collapses.
Right.
And you mentioned you had to pay off second marriage debt. So that means that you're now alone again.
Yeah.
So
Struggling
then
alone.
what happens during that
Oh,
period
it,
between
it got even worse, bro. It got even darker. Like we're talking zero dark 30, bro. Ready? So kids had been like, well, I lost everything. How much worse can this get? Right. And begging mom and dad to pay a utility bill or make a car payment or pay rent for a month because I just have no money. I can't. I wasn't able to paint. I couldn't hold anything down, bro. It was really tough. Unemployment. So now I go into enforcement court because I have such egregious amount of child support monthly, 3,500 if you can imagine, plus interest, 10% that the state charges, right, for unpaid child support. So
But
now,
Rob, couldn't you have gone back to the court and said, "Hey, I'm no longer making what I was making,"
yeah, we
because
did.
you did.
You ready?
Okay.
You ready for this one? You
Mm.
know what the AG said, the attorneys general? They said, no, we're going to fight for historical income because you're used to making $20,000 a month. I'm like, I'm making zero. And here's the last 6 to 12 months of my pay stubs, nothing. No, we don't care. You got to find a way to make 3,500 and pay child support. I'm like, I can't unless I rob a bank, really, unless I go become a professional burglar, right? Is the only way I'm thinking I can get out of this mess. I don't know. I didn't know what to do. So then I go to court to meet with the judge, and the judge is like, listen, you're in enforcement court now. So we just need to make sure that you're able to make payments monthly in child support to your exes. And I'm like, Judge, you're on, right? I don't have any money. I'm looking for a job myself. I don't know what to do. I tried lowering my child support, but the attorneys general said no, because of historical income, you're able to make that kind of money. I'm like, no, the whole mortgage industry collapsed. There's nothing left. It's obliterated. And the judge was like, well, I'm not happy with your you're not paying child support. So listen to this. So I'm going to send you to jail, and you're going to go to jail until you can come up with a $10,000 cash bond. I'm like, for what? My dad was even in court that day, and he goes, Your Honor, he doesn't have any money. He doesn't have a job. Here's his unemployment stubs from the state. And I got sent to jail, dude, for a half a month for 2 weeks. And it took me 2 weeks to beg my family, friends to put $10,000 together, bro. And all that money went to the ex. But in that time period, I was so hopeless. I didn't have an aim in life. I didn't know what to do. I was crushed by a broken system. I was disconnected from my kids. I was hopeless, bro. And the last thing I was thinking about was killing myself. I never thought to kill myself. I was one strand above that because of the value I had on my life and 4 kids and a dad and mom I didn't want to leave behind. And so I was praying one night and it got pretty deep with my maker, with God and Jesus Christ. And I'm like, I'm going to surrender my life now to you. I don't know what to do, but I need hope on staying out of jail to get out of this place and never come back. So I'm begging you to please hear my words and help me find a solution to stay connected to my kids and find some hope on my own personal life, including choosing you now for the rest of my life. And so, in that gleam of a moment, that blink of moment of time, I had an epiphany and God allowed me to see, I would say, kind of a spiritual vision board of what I was about to embark on. And that vision was pretty clear, to help single dads like myself stay connected to their children by volunteering their time in public service, to allow those agencies to help offset my child support in those hours served to credit um, my child support. In other words, I was looking for a group or an organization that would pay a portion of my child support with hours volunteered in public service. And so I saw way past just that as well. And so when I got out of jail finally with my bond, I immediately started to do on my part time, I started doing research throughout the United States on what organization, what charity in America has something that I saw in that vision with Christ that day. And I never found it.
Wow, and what a journey. Stay tuned for part 2 and hear what Robb discovers.